Hi there, it's Claire in the potting shed, and the months are flying past, aren't they? So it's time to take a look at September in the Maria Thun Biodynamic calendar. So I always like to think about where the full moon is when I start to plan my month in the garden. And so this month, if we look in the solar and lunar aspects column here is the new moon, the black circle, and the white circle on the 20th is the full moon. And this, in my experience, is the best time to think about sowing seeds, the week before the full moon. So September is still okay for sowing hardy annuals, that you'd get the nice spring flowers, and you'd really be looking at a flower day for sowing seeds like poppies or calendula or cornflowers. So there's one here on the 19th there. On the 13th, there's a full leaf day, and that would be a good day to think about sowing spring cabbages, spinach, and other leafy salad crops like mustard leaf and mizuna. And you can also start thinking about sowing broad beans and peas. So these are a fruit crop. So we'd be looking at the 15th and 16th and the 14th of September for sowing those. And if you are thinking of sowing broad beans and peas, they are hardy, but it's a good idea to consider covering them with fleece if there's any hard frosts or snow about later on in the winter time. And then there's root days, so that's just here on the 17th and 18th, and also the afternoon of the 16th. They would be good days to think about sowing root crops like radish or turnips. And also probably the best kind of day to think about sowing green manures like ryegrass or tares. Green manures are great for covering up bare soil and keeping the soil in good condition over the winter time. So the next moon rhythm to consider is Apogee and Perigee. So again, if we look at solar and lunar aspects, Perigee is here and Apogee is here. Now perigee is actually when the moon is closest to the earth in its orbit, its monthly orbit of the earth. And perigee in this calendar is always a blank day, which means there are no beneficial forces coming to help us in the garden from the cosmos. And any blank day in this calendar is best to avoid any sensitive work like seed sowing or working with biodynamic preparations. So the next rhythm to consider is this band here, this green band and purple band. And the green band is what's called northern transplanting time, and it's also what's called descending moon. So that's another moon rhythm when the moon gets lower and lower in the sky for a fortnight. And this is when the lower parts of the plant are more enlivened. So it's a really good time to think about planting and working with the soil. So if you needed to top dress with compost, this would be a good period of time to work with the soil. So in September, you can think about planting out your onion sets and shallots. Don't forget to choose autumn varieties if that's your plan. And you can also think in descending moon, you could be planting out your wallflowers and your pansies or your forget-me-nots, or you could be lifting and dividing congested clumps of perennials, herbaceous perennials, and also still plant spring bulbs. So all of those activities would be best done on a flower day in the descending moon. So if you look at the beginning of the month, there are some flower days here, and also at the end of the month, we just start to turn back into descending moon time, planting time, and there are some flower days down here as well. Stirring and applying the haul manure after planting is best done in this planting time as well. And the haul manure will actually help your plants and the soil organisms create their symbiotic connections. The haul manure is like a kind of kickstart or inoculant for the soil organisms. So planting is ideal time to use the haul manure. So the opposite part of that rhythm is this purple band, which is in this calendar, it's called the southern transplanting time. That means the southern hemisphere. But we call it also ascending moon. So that's the 2 weeks in the month when the moon is getting higher and higher every day in the sky. And that's when the upper parts of the plant are more enlivened. So that's a really good time to think about harvesting, particularly if you're harvesting your crop for storing or preserving. So you want to be looking out for fruit days here and here if you're thinking about harvesting your apple crop or other fruits such as raspberries, courgettes, runner beans or squash. And you want to be thinking about root days if you're needing to harvest your onions or your potatoes. So that's here, and also some root afternoons here. Although in my experience, it's better to harvest in the morning if possible. September is also seed collecting time, and it's actually very easy to do. Just really 2 golden rules. Make sure that it's actually dry, the weather is dry when you're collecting your seeds, and also make sure they're ripe before you cut them off the plant, because they won't actually ripen fully off the plant. And also when you're storing your seeds, make sure they are fully dry before putting them into envelopes and storing them, or into jars. And also don't forget the birds in the autumn time. Leave the sunflower seed heads on your plants, and that way the birds will be able to feed them for quite a few months. And also don't forget to leave out food and water for any hedgehogs that you might have visiting your garden. It's the time of year when they really need to fatten up before they go for their late autumn hibernation. So yeah, it's good to give them a little helping hand. Okay, happy September. Bye.